Hello, viewers. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game. Before you is a review you have not yet seen over the highly creative yet misguided franchise Saw. What I ask from you is that you watch this one and the other reviews following this one. If you do not, this video is laced with a malware virus that will target your computer and unsubscribe to all your favorite people you so lovingly follow. You will never be able to subscribe again. The only way to keep this from happening is that you subscribe and comment below and tell this reviewer what you think of the first film of Saw. Subscribe and comment. Make your choice.
Here we are, guys, to the amazingly creative yet heavily misguided Saw franchise. Also heavily convoluted too. Oh boy. But with Jigsaw coming out, the 8th film in the franchise coming out this month, I figured why not visit the first 7 films that preceded it. I'm in trouble. Which I like to remain respectful to the people who haven't seen this movie, and I would like for them to give it a shot, but allow me to say that these reviews are gonna be hard. Because to be critical for these films, there's so many fans backing every single one of them that to be like, oh, well, you can't find a flaw with that because... So no matter what I say, the story can always be criticized, but then always be backed up. So, Saw starts us off pretty basic with 2 guys in a bathroom waking up with no idea how they got there. Adam and Lawrence Gordon. While they seemingly do not know each other, Jigsaw himself has put them in this deadly game. Lawrence has until 6 on the clock to kill Adam. If not, Gordon's wife and daughter will be killed. Why? What for? We don't really know. And why was he chosen in the first place? God knows. But on top of that, there is a dead body between them. A game of other epic proportions probably took place just before them, so the only way to accomplish this game is if one of these 2 saws off their foot to get to the gun that the dead body has. And this is our setup for the first movie, and I gotta tell you, it's riveting. Builds tension and circumstance to the situation that these 2 are in. And I swear to you, in the first 20 minutes, you do not see the outside. You feel trapped in this world that these 2 are in. And you don't know these characters that much except for with the witty dialogue that Adam gives. My name is very freaking confused. What's your name? And then the calm reserve that Lawrence has. He doesn't want us to cut through our chains. He wants us to cut through our feet. And it's really in the 20-ish minutes that the movie really keeps you glued to your seat in that claustrophobic, gritty, and disgusting feel. And it's A+ material worthy in my book. You really feel like you can't leave this place you're in. Outside of this room, or the prehistoric bathroom Adam would put it, is the detectives, and on their side, how they're investigating this entire thing. They're trying to figure out who Jigsaw is, who's the culprit, and Detective Tapp is the one who's actually trying to figure out if it's Lawrence Gordon or not. So it's definitely a whodunit, don't trust the person across from you, and it's gotta be this guy, right? So Saw is definitely one of those films that came at the right place at the right time for me, despite its numerous flaws. Jarring story, brutal violence, and silly acting here and there.
Lawrence, calm down. There must be a way out of this. Get up! Get up! My family needs me!
At the time of 2004, I wasn't thinking critically. I just appreciated the story. Now, as a fanboy, I really enjoyed Saw 1 and completely and wholly. Nostalgia is talking, objectivity is talking, and there is something to really appreciate in Saw 1. But while I find this movie ingrained in mystery as to who the Jigsaw Killer is and the amazing concepts executed, the traps and the people and the stories behind them, the entire narrative is fine, but that's also where this biggest weakness is with this movie, is the narrative. It can literally be distracted from its own point in terms of when it's trying to tell its story. Like, for instance, Lawrence Gordon in the beginning of the film is trying to figure things out while Adam is freaking out. When Adam asks why isn't he thinking about his wife and daughter, he snaps and says, "I am thinking about that. I was thinking about the last thing I said to my daughter." The flashback gives us a little bit too much that Lawrence Gordon just simply was not a part of. For instance, after the segment was over, we returned to the guys in the bathroom, but then again, not long afterwards after that, the flashback continues onwards without reflecting, or maybe there was, but who's to say, and the scene continues exactly right where it left off just as soon as Lawrence leaves for work. His wife and daughter are kidnapped, and literally one scene later, the scene moves on from that to another flashback with Detective Tapp getting close to Jigsaw with his partner, and it's... So the construction of this movie is a little rocky, but ultimately still followable. And there are numerous cuts within scenes that ultimately don't make sense as you watch it. You probably don't notice it at first, but if you go back and you see it again, you'll probably catch it. But ultimately, this show has a low budget, the first-timer mistakes are throughout this movie, and wavering tension that works one moment and is gone the next. Probably in this movie, there's more forgivability than ever than to say for the rest of those films. But that's the thing about this movie. James Wan and Leigh Whannell, they know how to create tension. Wan obviously has a vision, and Leigh obviously knows how to keep a story together, and they really did their best making a grisly, fresh new take in the horror torture porn genre. All in all, this is a heavily flawed film. And there's definitely that twist that kind of everybody knows about, I'd say. I mean, come on. If you haven't seen it by now, then good on you. You stayed away from the most celebrated twists in history since 2004. And I won't give anything away just in case, but if you all know about it, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't, here's what I think about that ending. The ending works for the story, but not in a realistic standpoint. It objectively almost doesn't make any sense, but there's too many questions and not enough answers, but there is something about that ending that just makes me feel cathartic. Like, by no means in the stretch of the imagination is there anything satisfying in a terms of closure for this story, nor do the characters, but the music and the timing and the edits and the overall story just oddly felt satisfying to me. Like, after being left with that cliffhanger the way it ends, I'm okay with not knowing the end result too. I may never possibly know it, and I was okay with that. So Saw 1 had interesting characters to where a villain exploited them in a sick game and made them understand the meaning of life. If I have any real issues with the first film, it's where the sequels go, to which we will get into. But while these guys are put to the test to struggle to stay alive, we really don't get any closure from that. The test is set, the game is played, and you don't really see a payoff. So don't go into this film thinking there's closure for anyone, because there isn't. Just because I use the word cathartic doesn't mean that there is any. Just the ending provides that within the story, and it's just not nostalgia talking. And of course, this is not a perfect movie. It's flawed. It's silly at points. But when the tension hits, you feel it. When the climax of this film hits, your palms are sweaty, you're biting your nails, you're screaming, and that ending just blows your mind. And that's if you're into the movie by the time it began. So Saw 1 is probably my favorite and probably my only favorite in the entire franchise, and for that I am going to give Saw a love it, and I actually own 2 different versions of this movie. Well, because Blu-ray wasn't out at the time, and I don't know where else to find Blu-ray for these films these days, but I've got the one here. It's just kind of like the clear slip cover and all that stuff, and then I found this, which is the unrated edition, which used to actually have blood inside, and you'd squish it and you got the little Metal Gear there and stuff. It was actually a lot of fun, and actually I got it signed by Carrie Elwes at a convention, so that was actually pretty cool. So what was your takeaway from Saw? What did you think of it? Did you like it or did you hate it? I mean, a lot of people love the first one, did not like the rest of them, love the first one, love the rest of them. It's a bit of give and take. There's a heavy cult following behind this film. I'm going to be doing the next set of films in a trilogy of a review, and that's for a reason, which I'll explain. Look out for that, which will be coming a little later on this week. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you like this, please subscribe, and I'll get you more videos in the future.
Congratulations. You made it through the video. Most people are so ungrateful and never finish, but not you. Not anymore. Game over!